if you're like me, there's a good chance you just don't understand the dating scene of today. I mean, come on, everyone's talking about shit like hoflation and that all Western women are degenerate and that we should all just fly to Bali and live the island life for the rest of our lives or something, you know? And everyone says the answer is just to escape, that the only way out is to just leave, you know? To be fair, I mean, they're not entirely wrong, you know? I mean, think about it, right? I'm just one guy. How am I supposed to make any real difference myself, you know? If I can't fix it, then the obvious answer is to just detach myself from the modern dating scene and try to lead a new life elsewhere, you know? I mean, maybe it's just me, but I don't want to believe that. You know, I refuse to accept that there's nothing that we can do to win in the bullshit modern dating scene that social media has normalized. I mean, yeah, you know, it's easy to say that Western women are ruined and we can just keep blaming everybody else while fantasizing about some sort of escape later on in life. But come on, does that really solve anything? I mean, if anything, that sort of mindset feeds into the negative feedback loop that is the modern dating scene just that much more. You know, any man who adopts this mindset is actively weakening themselves and setting themselves up for future failure in dating. You know, I'm not even trying to be dramatic here. Modern dating is just completely against the average guy. You know, we've all heard about the idea that the top 10 to 20% of men are getting, 80 to 90% of the attention from women. On the other hand, the average girl today gets more validation from the opposite gender in a week than the average man gets in a year. It's completely imbalanced. It destroyed the foundation that dating used to be built on, mutual effort. I think, though, we started to realize you can't even blame girls for this entirely. Social media completely fucked up the market, and that's just kind of a, that's a very widely accepted truth. We all know this, and we all know what women are like, but what are we doing about it? Why is it that we just accept the reality of it all? As I've just been yapping, you may have, thought about the idea that we as men should just work on our skills, goals and purpose. And I mean, it's the basic narrative we've all been given, right? Work on yourself, learn new skills, achieve, your most ambitious goals and fulfill your purpose. That's all you're supposed to do, apparently, right? And the right women will start finding you. I mean, it's worked for many people, sure, and I'm not saying that's the wrong move. In fact, by all means, that's exactly what we should do, because, to be fair, it's our only option, right? Our only option is to either leave or adapt to the dating scene. We can choose to go our own way, or learn to strategically detach and use toxic, manipulative tricks to win in dating, but obviously that's not really fighting anything, right? It's not really changing the reality of today. It's lazy, honestly. I mean, most guys will say that it's the right move and that any other way of thought is completely stupid, but to these people, I only have one thing to say. Modern dating is a joke, not because women are evil or that men are weak, but because no one's trying to do the right thing to fix it at all. We're all falling victim to the rubber band effect, I feel like. The idea that you can, try all the fucking fake remedies and solutions that you want to try and solve a larger problem, but eventually you'll just snap back right to the same place you used to be. Kind of like a rubber band, And that's what we collectively have all been doing. We've all just been fucking around, completely inflating the dating market, ruining its dynamics, and saying that it's the only way to win. I mean, yeah, it's the only way to win, because we're not trying to fucking fix the actual market itself. To pull that rubber band back without snapping back, you gotta pull the whole rubber band and not just one side of it. That means you're supposed to solve an issue from the root of the problem. In my opinion, the root of the problem is pretty simple. People just don't date for peace anymore, They date for power. It's all about who has more options, who cares less, who can go the longest without calling the other, and I think I know why, Think about it. Why do people play these dumbass games? It's to raise attraction one way or another. People fuck around like this so that they can gain, 1, more attraction from their partner, and 2, more validation in general. Right? All these games are just inflated versions of natural traits that would normally be considered attractive in men. Hear me out. The idea of who can ghost the other for longest, whatever the fuck that is, comes from the trait that masculine men would, have when they're 100% aligned with their purpose and they don't have time to worry about their partner 24/7. Now it's just a matter of ignoring her texts and ducking her calls until she starts to worry. And while we're talking about it, I gotta ask, why is it that women also play these games if they're inherently attractive in male context? I mean, that doesn't make sense, right? I think it's because of depolarization, where men have become more feminine and women have become more masculine. And men are just accepting this, that, saying that it's feminine to argue against these modern dating dynamics and that it's masculine to accept and just adapt, and to accept the fact that we as men have been fucked from the start. Bullshit. If anything, that way of thought is worse off. Like, you're gonna let modern norms change the way you think about women and dating and be okay with that? Like, tell me where the masculinity is in a thought process like that. But I digress. I said, like I said, it's not that either men or women are to blame. It's anyone who agrees and feeds into these bullshit rules of dating today, regardless of gender, right? Honestly, the only reason I made this video is because I'm so tired of seeing this type of rule-based dating where, if you don't follow the same toxic ideals as everybody else, you'll never win. I could tell you exactly how to do this, and I could tell you exactly how to learn the rules and language of modern dating, because it's shit that I've had to learn, intentionally or not, But I won't do that, it's pointless. It's pointless to keep feeding into that same cycle, helping that negative feedback loop of modern dating keep going, I'm tired of seeing this shit, is all.